Welcome back to the broadcast. It is time for He Says, She Says, sponsored by the Blue Martini Lounge, your girls' night out destination. Our guest this week is Super Bowl champ from the Baltimore Ravens, who calls the Fort Worth area home. Welcome, Chris Johnson. Hello.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Who knew you called Fort Worth home?
You said why?
I said, who knew? Lucky for us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, me and my wife moved back in 2007, and they embraced us, and I love being here.
Yeah.
Did you grow up here?
I grew up in East Texas, Longview, Texas.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
How great. And is she a Texan also?
Yes, ma'am, she is.
She's beautiful too, by the way.
Can we
Thank
just
you.
talk about your
Thanks.
style? I love this.
Can you just hold your shoes?
See the shoes down here?
Get a shot of these shoes.
really.
These are the coolest shoes.
Can you see the top of them?
Wait a minute. Oh my
There you go.
gosh. And look at this sparkly watch.
We're just gonna let you do a fashion segment.
And,
coordination.
look at this pop-out ring.
So let me ask you this.
Oh, we love that.
So do you dress yourself, or does Miosha do all of the styling?
We do both sometimes.
partner?
We partner up a little bit.
So have you always been the stylish, or she had an influence?
Well,
on
when
that?
we got together, we started trying to transition into a style. I mean, because you go back and forth on, over the years, you have your style. It comes in and out, so we call it fashion instead of style.
Does your style change according to how much money you make?
That's
a valid question.
Not at all. I mean, you can go to Ross and get some stylish stuff, as long as you know what you know what to do. That's how to put
Good
together.
point. So we were talking this morning, Chris, about how men and women handle fear differently. And you heard us talking about the Zimmerman trial and about Trayvon. And we were talking in the makeup room this morning about how if it were a woman, a girl in Trayvon's position, it would have turned out differently because women react to fear differently than men do. Do you agree with that?
I think they do. I think men are set to shut off fear. They don't want to really face fear. Women a lot, they face, I think, on a daily basis, different fears in their life. But I guess as young men, we are at the age of 9 or 10 just to not even try to focus on fear, just try to go past that.
Wow, so you just power through. You don't really deal with it. You don't admit, I'm scared.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think it's man-like to admit that a man is scared. You try to, you face it, but you face it totally different than a woman, I think.
Wow.
Is this because men have this feeling that they are super powerful starting when they're a youngster? That they're supposed to be
Like
a
a macho
fighter,
thing?
a warrior? Do you think that?
I think a man is built to be a warrior.
I do too.
So at the same time, you can't show weakness, and a lot of men, we have locker room talk a lot, and you see a lot of men go through things in their lives that you should be afraid. A woman will be afraid of, and a man will be like, well, I have to do it, no matter what, if I'm scared, if I'm afraid of it, or if I'm not.
You have to do the thing you're afraid of.
Correct.
Or you're ruined if you
Correct.
don't overcome your
I agree.
fears.
Yes.
Well, especially on the football field. Like, if you admit you're scared, you're done. Jacked,
They can
right?
smell fear out there,
I
can't
mean,
they?
there's been a couple of times that as a player, you have that anticipation on the field, like I can't do this, or I can't get beat, or I can't miss this tackle. You kind of scared because if you do, it's like the coach is coming at you. So it's like you kind of have to not be scared, but then play to your best ability too.
And so you're
It
really
pushes you.
fighting two things. You're fighting the opposing team, and you're fighting your own coach.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you can't look bad in his eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's scary.
I wonder, do you think women quit easier than men do? Do you think we give up faster than
I
men
don't think so.
in general?
It depends. You have a lot of strong women out here, and there are a lot of women that fight harder than a man, and that's sad to say, but you do have, I think the majority, it might be 70, 30%. I think that some women fight harder than men, but at the same time, you have a lot more men fight harder than women. I mean, we just made like that.
Do you and your wife argue?
Of course.
And so how do you do it? Do you say, now, dear, please calm down? Or do you say, I'm not taking this anymore? How do
No, I mean, as a couple argue, you don't escalate voices at all.
you don't?
No, ma'am. I think you're supposed to sit down and have a calm, adult conversation in that way, because if she's loud, I'm loud, you don't get through people like that.
And so she agrees. You all have made this a pact to never raise your voice.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, we've been together 10 years now, and tomorrow will be 5 years married, so.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
anniversary early.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
think you should be teaching couples how to remain calm.
But you do model that for your family. And I mean, how do you talk to your son about fear?
I mean, it's. I have a 6-year-old and a 12-year-old, so it's kind of hard. But I try to teach my boys to face it. You know, sometimes as young kids, if you so successful throughout your childhood, you don't know what failure is.
Right.
So I want them to see failure, face fear. So once they get older, they're like, okay, I know how to handle this. Because as a kid, if you don't never, get to that point, once it hit you, it'd be like,
Totally shocked.
You'd be shocked.
You're absolutely right. And I think as parents, we have that responsibility to model that behavior for our children, or they don't know how to deal with it. So I
Or
think
to
that's-
let them fail so
Yeah.
they can know what that
That's
feels like
exactly right,
and continue to
Pat.
face it.
Let them
I agree.
fail.
It's a hard thing to do, though.
It is.
It
All
is.
right.
Okay, Chris is sticking around, and his wife is joining us to talk about organizations that they've founded out of a tragedy and hardship that they faced in their lives. We're going to hear about that next. Stay with us.
Wow.
Good job.